Hello guys. Obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD for short, is a scary thing for a person to have. Their mind is filled with unwanted thoughts and ideas that lead them to perform repetitive and often complicated rituals in order to feel clean, or even just to feel like their loved ones are safe from harm. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at some of the most serious cases around. My name is Danny Berg, and this is the top 10 worst OCD stories. Starting off at number 10 now, we have Serin Rayner-Davies. Now this woman appeared on British TV to share her story of extreme OCD and her fear of contamination. Serin was so scared of germs that she would have to wash her hair up to 72 times a day and would rewash the same laundry load up to 15 times if she didn't feel like it went just right. She thought that if she didn't do these things, her parents would die. Everything had to be clean around her. Fortunately, she did go through therapy and retrained her whole brain to not make these irrational links between everyday germs and her family dying. Coming out number 9 now, we have Richard Wallace. You guys may have heard of the TV show Hoarders before, people who obsessively collect objects in their homes and just can't seem to let go of them. Well, Richard was an extreme example of this. His collection of items he didn't need was so big that he couldn't even fit it all in his house. In fact, it could even be seen from Google Earth. He appeared on the British TV show Obsessive Compulsive Hoarders. He had endless piles of newspapers, magazines and cereal boxes that he just couldn't let go of. In total, the junk came to about 30 tons. There was even a play written about this whole story, with his permission of course. Thankfully, the TV show did help Richard clear out his home and begin to deal with his OCD. Moving on to number 8 now, we have Ed Zine. This American man appeared on the show Pushed to the Extreme to tell his OCD story. After his mother died, Ed became unable to perform the simplest of tasks. Getting up to go to the bathroom would take him about 7 to 10 hours to achieve. So how were these connected? Well, Ed's brain had dealt with the grief of his mother's death and the fear of losing his own life in a very unique way. He had convinced himself that doing things passed time, and if enough time passed then he would eventually die. So he became stuck in this vicious loop where his fear of time moving forward meant he could barely even function. If he ever did make it to the bathroom, he would have to leave it moving backwards, exactly the same way he entered, down to the last tiny movement. Therapy did help him overcome these problems, but it's still a daily battle for him. Next up at number 7 now, we have Lily Bailey. This girl from the UK grew up with OCD from a young age that produced many stressful habits, but one seemed to stand out from all the rest. When she was 16, she started to obsess over letters. She would kind of collect letters over the day. If a friend she was walking with got too close, she would add the letter S for space to her imaginary list. Then if a stranger bumped into her arm, she would add A for arm. A child might walk past and the thought entered her head that she might be called a paedophile if she looked at their bum, so she added the letter B for bum to her list. Then as her friend talks about a person, she's worried that she was pulling a strange face, so you guessed it, she added an F for face. Then she would repeat this list of letters in her head over and over again, adding another every time something happened. By the end of the day, she would be chanting a string of about 100 letters or more in her head. Thanks to psychotherapy, Lily's OCD is now being treated. Next up at number 6 now, we have 1A. That's the online name of a woman who shared her OCD story on a self-help site. She said that she limits herself to a certain number of syllables per sentence. So before she says anything, she's decided the next sentence has to have 20 syllables in it, and if she goes over that, she just doesn't speak for a while, sometimes for the rest of the day. To make matters even worse, she will often count out 4 beats in her head as she speaks, and she has to fit a certain amount of syllables into those 4 beats. Otherwise, you guessed it, she can't speak. I'm really hoping I don't end up with this condition, otherwise these videos are going to get a lot harder. At the number 5 spot now, we have Jean. This man was studied by French psychologist Pierre Janet, who said that Jean had a serious case of OCD surrounding his own health and the fear of death. Most of us worry about these things at some point in our lives, who doesn't? But you don't sit there checking every one of your heartbeats, do you? Well, he did. He would sit there and listen and feel every single one of his heartbeats and would have a full-blown panic attack if any of them felt slightly irregular. Can you guys imagine how time-consuming that would be? Gene also had an obsession with his own genitals, but we're not going to go into that. I guess I didn't need to bring that bit up at all, but yeah, I did. Next up at number 4 now, we have Courtney. This woman appeared on the Dr. Phil show to talk about her obsessive fear of germs. She washes her hands constantly. On bad days, this can be up to 200 times, scrubbing them so hard that they actually start to bleed. She would have to keep checking the stove was off before leaving the house, touching them in the same order over and over again. When she gets home from work, she always has to step onto tiny paper towels and just shuffle her way to the bathroom to have a shower. She won't even touch a towel before the shower because she feels that she's too dirty. When she's out of the shower, she has to scrub her phone and keys with disinfecting wipes, and then, and only then, her infant son is allowed out of his room to see her. The OCD almost caused her partner to leave her. Moving on to number 3 now, we have Hugh Turner. This man from the UK has OCD revolving around the number 12. It all started as a kid when his teachers made him do his 12 times table. 12, 24, 36, 48, etc. As an adult, he had to count everything he sees up to the number 12. Eggs, potatoes, tins in the cupboard, you name it, he counts them to 12 and then he's calm again. He's also so obsessed with keeping things tidy and clean that he hasn't taken any clothes out of his wardrobe in years. You see, he worries that touching them will lead to the death of one of his family members or friends. This is just the tip of the iceberg with his 40-year-long OCD battle, and no treatment has worked so far. Next up at number 2 now, we have Scott Rosborough. This Canadian man has severe OCD that manifests itself in a number of different ways. When he's washing his clothes at his apartment, he would fill his basket with the clothes, and on the way back upstairs, if his basket hit anything like the wall, he would have to wash his whole load of clothes all over again. He would also have to scrub the actual basket in the shower as well. Other times, Scott would be driving down the road and hit a bump, and he would freak out thinking that he had hit someone and would have to go back to check that it was just a bump. He would then drive away, but the fear would hit him again and he would have to go back and check over and over again. Sometimes this would last for half an hour, making it almost impossible to get anything done in his life. And finally at number 1 now, we have Nikola Tesla. This man is known as one of the greatest inventors of all time thanks to his contributions to X-rays, radio, radar and electrical power. He also suffered massively from OCD. Those who knew him said that he was obsessed with the number 3. He would often have to walk around the area 3 times before entering a building. He would count every single jaw movement he made while eating and always had to use exactly 18 napkins during a meal. He was also very scared of round objects and also germs. He couldn't touch hair or even shake hands with people. Many people think this is actually what led him to be a celibate man. He never had sex. Tesla himself said that this allowed him to focus solely on his experiments, perhaps helping him become the great inventor we know him as today. Well guys, those were some pretty intense OCD stories. Do you guys have any ones that you've heard about in your lives to share with us in the comments section? I'd love to know. In the meantime, thank you for watching Most Amazing Top 10. My name is Danny Burke and I will see you all in the next one.